Dara, you're very welcome to the podcast, Talking Sport with Stan. Great to have you on. Really appreciate you taking the time out now and coming for the chat.
No problem at all, Sean.
Looking forward to hearing all about it. How are things with you? All good?
All great here, not a bother.
Are you back coaching yet?
Starting on Thursday.
Oh, Thursday coming, right?
Yeah, so getting things together.
Yeah, how's the build up to that now? Is there, as regards legislation and stuff?
Yeah, well, all I'm doing this year is we just do the mothers and others. So we're just back on just getting the paperwork together basically and getting our COVID officer and all that into gear. But it's handy enough when I only have the one team this year so far. It's not grand.
Yeah, it's a hard process getting everyone and then trying to fill a new position as well. Like, it's not easy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No one wants to do it, and it's all the time. But it's okay when you're dealing with adults who have to look after themselves, and that's it. They show up going in the gate, and that's it. We take a roll call, and we'll take it from there, as I say.
And come here, what about the kids? Are they back playing yet?
The kids are back, and I had them back on Monday night. We have small numbers in under 16, but like that, it took 15 minutes to get all the paperwork done before.
I know.
So look,
it's going to take a couple of weeks, and then hopefully there'll be some normality as regards training anyway. But
that's it.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing now. There's a lot of paperwork to go through and a lot of reading, but look, it has to be done.
Part and parcel of it now. It's the new normal, as I say.
Yeah, for sure. And look, we don't know what the future holds, but the coming weeks will tell a lot. But it's good. It's very important for the kids to be getting back out and playing a bit of sport again.
Oh yeah, they all need it. The girls can't wait to get back now. Nothing has started for them yet. I know under 14 and under 16 is starting with ladies football, but mine will be younger. So I haven't heard anything about them yet, and they're mad to get back at it.
Oh, I'm sure. God,
yeah.
2 or 3 months away from it. I can only imagine the hunger.
Yeah.
Great, Dara. Okay, just going to go through the accolades first of all, and again, very impressive. Like some of the previous female athletes I've had on already, like it's just remarkable to see some of the achievements. And we'll start with the club, Kilmacud Crokes, Dublin Intermediate League and Championship double in the year 2000. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. An intermediate with Rathcline Ladies in 2012. 9 senior championships and leagues with Drumlish. Some feat.
Yeah.
Have you ever reflected back on that? Did it force you into a scenario?
It was crazy times. We were very strong back then, like Michelle Hannafy, Evelyn Griffin.
Yeah.
I mean, Breda Nuna Gray. We didn't really have much competition back then, and we actually went on and played. The club actually went on and played for Longford back then. I remember playing my first county game. I was 11.
Go away.
Yeah, Liam Ford. 11, yeah.
That has to be a record.
Oh, I'll probably be shot for it. But that's just the way it was.
Yeah, you were just thrown into it.
Just thrown into it. There was no other clubs. There was clubs trying over here. Actually, Kenagh and Carrick-Edmond, they were probably the only teams who played back then, and they were getting hard to keep it going because there were small numbers. We were blessed. We had 30 good footballers back then.
And come here, would your management have gone with you, or was there a separate management that time representing?
Oh no, Liam Ford brought us everywhere from the age I was 4 or 5. He just put you into a car, bring off to matches. Christina Jordan and Jimmy Joe Corrigan, Lord of Mercy, and he used to come as well, and they done everything for us, arranged buses and everything. Other clubs didn't have that back then. Just Liam, he was, I don't know, he gave his life to us, like unbelievable.
Great, that's unbelievable. It's great. Look at that, great people. Like you'll always.
Oh, he's savage, man. I see he was 80 there a month ago, and Drumlish done a drive-through for him. It was lovely to see.
Yeah. Yes, lovely to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
2 All-Ireland titles with Sligo IT, very impressive too. I'm sure that was an amazing experience as well.
Yeah, it's great with the college. You're playing with top players. The Heffernans from Mayo, you Jenny Greenan from Monaghan. They were all-stars. You're playing with these, that they were your core players, and you just mad for games with them.
Yeah, and brought you to another level, of course, as well.
Oh, absolutely. Lovely to play with them. Great times.
Brilliant. The famous All-Ireland Junior Championship in '97, which you were captain of. I found that very funny how it was phrased, actually, All-Star Replacement Award. Back then, obviously, it's been rephrased. When you read it, like that's how it read back in the time. Replacement award rather than just saying
right.
All-Star Award.
Yeah, they picked her 15, and then they had sort of like backups. So back then, we played the All-Ireland champions. I think it was Monaghan that year. So like 5 or 6 of the girls from Monaghan were on it. So we filled their spot on the day as such.
Okay. Very good.
That's the way it was done.
Yeah, there's a few representations from Longford and that, wasn't there?
There was
Michelle.
Fiona Blessington was a full All-Star that year.
Yeah, yeah,
Michelle Hanafy was replacement in '96.
that's right.
I
Yeah,
think,
'cause
yeah, Fiona has 3 All-Stars. I think.
Fiona was quite young, and was she only 16 on that winning team? Was she?
She's a baby,
Yeah,
and you know what? We all looked up to her. She was unreal, just an
yeah.
engine coming through. She kept feeding ball, getting it off the backs, giving it to the forwards. She's just a one girl. I was very very, I suppose, lucky to have the pleasure of playing with. I know I was talking to Michelle Farrell there. We're doing something with Podge, and she said she never seen her play. And like, she was 2 when we won the All Ireland. Like, it's crazy that she never got the chance to see Fiona Blessington as a player.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, incredible athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, unreal.
Your Leinster Championship in '96, '97, Division 3 and Division 2 league titles, and All Ireland B Championship. And then as a
Yeah,
manager, under 16 All Ireland C Championship champions 2016, and you were a selector with the All Ireland Junior Champions there in 2016 as well.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then obviously you've huge involvement in Kenagh schools teams, and you have championships achieved at that level.
Yeah.
There's great work going on over your direction at the minute. I even see it with the school I'm involved with as well. You know, we've travelled over with the boys and
That's
with the
right. Yeah.
girls teams as well, and
Yeah.
you seem to have great involvement and great people pushing things forward.
Yes, things seem to be. We were quiet there for a few years, numbers wise. I mean, say this year at the under 16 boys, we have 2 under 16s, and we've only 5 under 15s as such.
Okay.
So we're starting to get numbers up. Our under 10s, our under 11s seem to have a savage team, and they won a massive tournament up in Dublin. They had 12 kids, and
Wow.
they played since what's it called, Sylvester's or something. They had
Oh
32
yes.
lads. Yeah, and they bet them, and we've great work there with the underages coming up. We've just great coaches. You've Emmett, Kenny, the Rowans, Sean Kelly, and they do great hurling as well. It just seems to be clicking now for us again. So hopefully it can continue.
Oh, that's great. Like, because you need that collective effort, and then it was even important. I know our club were victims to the in the junior final this year, but
Yeah,
that was such an important win for the senior team as much as for the underage, because when you're building from the bottom up, like, and you're getting the underage up and running, it is important that they're seeing success down the line as well.
yeah, that's so true. That I know people say I was only a junior, but like the last time Kenagh won something, Sean Miley was captain. That was, I think, it was 1983 or something.
Yeah.
So the club really needed it, and with a club that's bringing one minor through every year, and we will be until maybe another 5 or 6 years, and then we're hitting the numbers.
Yeah.
So I mean, people say you probably are a junior team. I'd say half the intermediate teams last year were probably junior teams, but it seems to be evening out now nicely.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you'll always have people saying that, but like, they don't fully
Yeah,
understand anyway. An achievement is an achievement, regardless of what.
regardless of what it is,
Yeah,
it's great
what
for a
level.
club. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And look, I think the important thing is when teams realise that they're able to compete at the next level, that's that you keep pushing. That you see an awful lot in Longford of teams holding back, for success, and
yeah.
that's not healthy either.
It's not healthy. Like, I even seen it with Drumlish there for years, like the breakthrough in '96. Like, there's so many years of the drought there as well. And when it comes, people giving out and everything, and when it comes, you're the best in the world, and then trying to keep it. So yourself, trying to
Yeah.
keep it, and trying to hold on to success. And then, like every club, you will have a lull of players coming through, and then you'll have players retiring and players living their life, basically. So it's good to anything you win is good to keep, and every title is hard won.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like, every club experiences a golden period, and what you do with that, it's you're either fortunate, you'll have success, or you won't. But then on the other side of every club, as you said, goes through a lull where it's a transition
Yeah,
period, and that's often the most important one to keep
that's it.
things afloat.
Exactly. You see clubs like Fordney and Shroyd, they couldn't keep it together.
I know, and it's sad. Like,
Yeah, it is very sad, and it's just basically a numbers game.
exactly.
Keeping players and keeping them interested.
Yeah, completely agree. So, out of the most, Dara, what sticks out to you? What was your most memorable one?
You'd have to say the All Ireland final of '97. Like, people, it was hard won. It wasn't like the junior. I no disrespect to the junior of 19 or of the one in 2016.
Yeah.
Back then there was only junior and senior, and it was as standing today, it was an intermediate championship. It is the same sort of status. Like we lost in '96, and I'll talk to any of the girls. That was their drive for '97.
That was against Clare, wasn't it?
That was against Clare. Yeah, we got up there to Croke Park in '97, and we were like, remember how we felt last year. And it was such a driving force. We got a few extra players in, Nidel McGann and Noel McGann, and that we got a few, strong players.
Strengthen things up.
Yeah, strengthen things up, and it made the difference. And definitely the drive from the loss in 1996 was 2000 or 1997 was one of, you couldn't, nothing will ever compare to it.
No, I can only imagine. Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime experience,
That's why I feel sorry for Longford County men. You should be. I think it really should be tiered as well, because we'd never beat the likes of Monaghan or Waterford back in the day, or Monaghan or Mayo, and even now the girls, to put it up to Dublin or anything, it's too big of a feat. And it really should be a tiered men's as well. I'd be all for it, but I know a lot of people aren't. But you have to, it doesn't matter how long the likes of Longford or any team is at it, you can't compete with Dublin.
No, and you have to be competitive no matter what you're doing.
You do, and you put in more work and effort than any Dublin team will ever do, because you have to work harder for what you get. I just feel that the tier should be there for you, or even as B championship, something.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
I just think the most important thing is that to sell it correctly. That it doesn't, just because it's titled second tier or B championship, that it's not treated like that.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, by all means, play in the A and go as far as you can. Longford has some great years, but just have something there that's achievable.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So from a young age, I take it sport was obviously a big part of your life growing up. You mentioned some influential characters there. Any other sports take your fancy from a young age, or were you? I say you were an all-rounder, really.
Yeah, I played basketball when I went to Moyne. Graham Williams was our coach there, and Timmy Healy, two of them. They brought us to Russia playing basketball. Like, we had great times. We won All Irelands with them. We had a great time there. And then soccer, I played in the Michael Cooney from Drumlish used to do an awful lot with us in the soccer and community games. And I played soccer in college as well. So great times.
Brilliant.
Love sport.
Yeah. And was Gaelic always the main one, or did that just end up shaping that way?
Gaelic was always the main one. Even for a young age, I'd be down with Drumlish training, and I'd be, behind the goals, kicking the balls back out to them. Just loved it.
Well, I won't even ask you. You were 11 when you played with the Longford Ladies, was it?
Yes, yeah. It was one game.
You were probably 9 or 10 when you played with the Drumlish Ladies.
Probably was. Mum doesn't know, though. She'd kill me.
Yeah, well, it's still relatively young. Like, I had Mairead Moore on here for a chat as well, and the start normally 16, 17 is normally the age, even though you're starting to see less and less of that now. Because obviously you want to keep girls playing at their own age level for as long as possible and progress properly.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, 11 was way too young, but back then there was no.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think there was any underage structure at all really back then. Like, Liam Ford was just single-handedly doing everything.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, he was a great man. Yeah, great man.
Everybody has someone that can relate to that way, that plays such a key part in the underage. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great. He done so much work.
Brilliant. And then look at, you had the. Coming up through the ranks, then you're obviously, had you any inspirational characters around you, role models in particular, any players you looked up to?
Well, definitely, even though she was younger than me, a lot younger than me, Fiona Blessington was always a player I admired.
Okay.
Loved Chris Heffernan from Mayo.
Right.
Of course, James Breston from Drumlish. He was so good to all the kids when we were growing up and everything. He always had time to talk to us and everything and come over to us. He was a great character.
That's great.
Yeah, you'd always have the crack with him and all that. He'd be over, when we'd be training, and come over and have the crack and all that. And there's I was blessed because I was young, and you had Michelle Hannafy and Francine Diffley and all these players, and the Greys twins from Kenagh. They always looked out for me. Nuala McGoy, they always made sure I was looked after, and I had some great people that always made sure you were all right and all that, even though I was young.
I know, but sure, look, that's the difference. That's the difference in bring, it brings out every young player on, when they can
Exactly. Yeah.
experience that, and then even when it comes to a point where you're not playing anymore, you can still look back and go, you remember all those little key moments, and people like that, like you said, James there,
Yeah.
making time for kids and having to chat with them, and
yeah, you always remember when you're older, like it's mad.
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And then you touched on earlier on the huge success you had with Drumlish. You were very dominant, but was there any other team in particular that would have pushed you a few times, or who was the main rivals back then? Or
See, it changed from year to year. Like the teams weren't, they'd try and get a club going in South Longford. I know Kenagh, as I said, Carrick-Edmond, we'd have played them a lot. But eventually, who knocked us off our throne was Granard Abilara.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were a great team back then. Mary Kieran, of course, was on it, and Anne, and
oh yeah,
there was great. They bet us, I think it was 5 points to 4 or something in Pierce Park on a wet Monday evening.
God.
But yeah, it was back then. But we came back then for a few years, and like I suppose it was a sort of, probably Ballymore then when they came. It was nearly the Granor teams that always came back and got us in the end.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, you had such success, like such a run. Like it's, you're not thinking at the time, I suppose, because you're riding high and you're drawing confidence. You said you were representing Longford as well, so that was giving you a whole new level of experience and confidence too.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at it, Liam was probably 10 years ahead of everyone else when it came to football. He had everything going in Drumlish. Like, you talk about minibuses and everything. Like, he had all that. You're talking about the early 90s, late 80s, and he had all this organised for us.
That'd be unheard of back then.
Unheard of. You go to another 14 game, he'd have a bus, and we wouldn't have to give a penny towards it.
Imagine that.
Yeah, he was unreal. Like, unreal man. What he's done for Drumlish.
Obviously, sounds like his setup and organisational skills were very good too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you train many times a week? To train that time?
Oh, we'd probably go down to train it, or we mightn't train at all. we could have a chat and do a couple of laps, and there was none of this hardcore,
like it is now,
building our strength and conditioning. You just played football for the hour, and there was good competition between us because you had a good 20-25 girls, and we trained hard, but it was nearly all games, all football.
Yeah, it's just the way it should.
No harm either.
Well, it should be. No, there's no better training if you can get to the right level. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So, what was the reason for it dwindling, I suppose, and how did you know it was coming to an end, or things were girls starting to head off in different directions, or?
That's it. There was a lot sort of like 5 or 6 years older than me. There's only about 4 or 5 my age and a couple younger. So people started to retire and just get married and get get jobs, move away. But we joined with Rathcline in '96, and that's how I became captain. For '97, the captain of the team that won the club championship was captain of the county.
Right. Okay.
So we actually joined with Rathcline.
Oh, you joined with Rathcline. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, in '96, and we bet Ballymore by a point.
Okay.
In the final,
So that amalgamation then stayed together for how long?
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, that was Liam's hunger and Petey Donlan. They just wanted football, and I think Drumlish. I don't think there's a year that they didn't compete since then. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm out of the link a while in it, but Liam always wanted football for everyone.
So even if that meant amalgamating, he wanted football.
Yeah. He wanted football for the girls, yeah.
I suppose that was the betterment for everybody. I know, like nowadays, it's it is a big deal, like but back then, it goes to show he was looking out for your welfare.
Absolutely. When you look at, he went the whole way to Rathcline. Totally, you'd usually amalgamate with someone beside you. There was no one there. He just went and done what he could. Like Hello were a good team back then. Gary Fennan was over them.
Yeah.
They were a good team too. So. Like, I mean, they didn't need anybody. Ballymore didn't need anyone. Rathcline were coming and going. We were coming and going. So himself and Peter got together, and the county board, I suppose, okayed it. And it lasted for a year, but it was a good year.
And you ended up with Rathcline then later in your career again?
I ended up, when I moved back after I had the kids.
Okay.
I moved over to Kenagh. I went over to Rathcline for a year, and then the intermediate championship final, I didn't get to play in it due to a bad injury. So.
Okay, what happened?
I got a blood clot in I got a bang at the semi-final, and I got a a blood clot in my leg, so I ended up in hospital for a month. But I got over it anyway, thank God, and I'm back running now.
Jesus, scary.
It was scary, I tell you.
Mm.
I didn't know what happened to me, but look at the one without me anyway.
Oh, look, you hear that happening quite frequently, you know. It's scary. You know, you think of all the bangs and impacts in games, you know, and you think it never going to happen to you. You know, very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's it. And so like, you know, if it's to say, if it's something that's in you, it's usually found out early and it'll happen again and all this. But with mine, they said it was just the bang on the day, and you know, I'm off all medication for it now. So please God, I'm back to the same as it was 8 years ago now. So 6 years ago. So I'm back to the same as anybody else now. Risk-wise, I'll get another one.
If you don't mind me asking, were you on the medication for long, like afterwards?
Yeah, I was on warfarin for a year, and then when I hit 40, then I have to take an aspirin every day. But sure, that's no harm anyway. But the warfarin was a scary time.
God, I'd say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, I'm glad to hear you're off all now and you're doing well.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff. And was there something strikes me now like that you could have had a choice of who? I say you might have had a few clubs after you, or had you a few friends or colleagues from that 2017 that lured you to Rathcline?
Well, that was it. Like Madeleine Murray was the chairperson of the county board at the time, and I work with her, and she's chairperson of Rathcline. So, like, she was like, "Come on down." It was actually Barry Cox who rang me. Barry was over them that year. I would have known Paula Kenny, Katrina Donlan, all them girls well. I should have come back down for a year. So that's how I went down there, and actually ended up training them. So
that's so bad. There was no way out. So
no way out then.
Brilliant. And look at aside from the injury, it sounds like you had a very enjoyable year.
Oh yeah, brilliant! It was great. I was with them. We were there for 2 years before we won. I think we won a league with Barry, and then Enda came in, and then Kieran Kenny came in. We had a good few enjoyable years there, but I was back in goals then at that stage because I couldn't run with that leg.
Yeah,
so I'd done 6 months in goals, and then I had to give it up.
Did you like the goals?
I hated it. I don't know how anyone does it.
What did I like about it? Just suppose you were mad to go out and play and attack the ball.
It's all right kicking out a ball, but someone kicking the ball to full blast, I can't do it.
Fair point.
In the corner.
fair point. I've talked about this before, Dara, as a relation. You know, the retirement age for girls can be quite young. Like you yourself, you know, you played on. Like, what was your drive or motivation? Was it just a love for the game?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I probably retired a couple of years before I should have. I retired, I think in 2000, I'd say, or 99.
Okay.
I was only 22 at that stage. I don't know. I just at that stage, I can't even remember. I know I retired younger than most people would, but I just at that stage I was just doing too much traveling. But yeah, girls seem to play on an awful lot. Like, I mean, I went back at it. It wasn't.
Yeah. How long did you retire for?
Well, I had the kids, so I retired for 8 years in total.
8 years, okay.
Yeah.
Fair play.
And you know, I was involved in. I went in. Colin Hannify was manager with the county for a year. I went in with him for a while, and you know, just done little things. And I'd still be involved in the kids in Kenagh. I took the schoolboys when I moved over here first as well. So, you know, then I'd be with Ballymahan girls underage because my daughters are in there. I was still always at something football related, even though I wasn't playing.
You didn't stay idle.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, very good. And the Sligo IT experience, Dara, when did that come about in this time frame?
96, 97 and 90, probably 96 to 99, around that time.
Well, what a year, 90. What a period that was for you.
Yeah, that was the peak time, is to say. Yeah, that was brilliant. Like,
yeah,
the college football is so much different. Oh my God, like.
Was it more like, in what way?
Oh, competitive, but like the training wise and everything is so much different. It's, you know, you have probably back then the county wasn't as professional as it is now, but the colleges were.
Okay.
You know, you had keeper coaches, you had back coaches, you had forward coaches, and you know, like, you got your dinners, you got your, what we used to get in Sligo was a keg after every game. A keg and half a chicken.
Bless us.
But you know,
now are you?
Yeah, so you're really looked after in certain ways, but you know, it took a long time for sort of county boards, like, I suppose, to be able to afford it, you know.
Yeah, to catch up. Would you have found yourself coming back? Oh, look, we're doing this in college. Any chance we could do this, or we're doing that, or trying to
No,
plant the
no,
seeds?
you wouldn't know
No.
because back then managers weren't getting paid or anything, so you knew they were all doing it, like Martin and Peter and Gary and Liam. They
Yeah.
were doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They weren't getting anything for it.
Mm.
So you knew just to be thankful for them giving up their time and everything. It's different in colleges. They were getting paid for everything they done, like.
Yeah, so was that they had to show it to be putting these new measures in place too, I suppose,
Exactly. They were given the budget every year, whereas them lads were given nothing. Like they gave us stuff out of their own pockets.
Yeah.
Like that's what they did for us. You'd be forever grateful.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I was when I found that picture of the celebrations, I was admiring the style back then in '97.
The gloves.
The gloves. Even the homecoming, I was laughing, different times, hilarious. What was the celebrations like after '97? Where was the main spot you'd head that time after a match back? And did you come straight back to Longford, yeah?
We spent the night in Dublin, of course, because that night, it was like the men. We had our night in the Burlington Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
With all the 4 teams, it was brilliant because the senior teams would be there as well. And we some night, and then we actually went to the cinema the next day. There's a few memories of that. Some people can't remember.
What film was out that time?
You'd have to ask Mary Burke now. I can't remember. All I remember was Peter Donlan was crying, whatever it was. Anyway, it was very emotional.
That was quite random now for the next day, wasn't
it? Yeah, I think they just wanted to sleep for 2 hours. So then we came back to the Park House. Frank Kilbride there was our main sponsor at the time, and they looked after us very well. Yeah. And we came back there. We had a big thing in Edwarstown and just outside the Park House.
Brilliant couple of nights, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's some buzz actually. Well, I was obviously very young that time, but I still remember little flashbacks from moments. Yeah, it was great.
It was great couple of weeks.
And come here, like that 96, 97, was there like, when you talk about your Drumlish team representing Longford, like obviously there was dramatic changes then, at that stage.
Yeah.
And like, was your setup like, I won't say professional, but like, was it, obviously very well organized, very well ran?
Oh yeah, like when you got to training was, it was all laid out. Martin and the boys would be there. They have everything done, and it'd be a good you could be training for 2 hours. We're off, and I remember being in Drumlish at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning and ice.
Go ahead. Ice.
Oh yeah, we trained very hard back then. It was all, this 1 minute intensity, and then I think they were before their time. Like they really were. When you look at the training methods now, I always seem to go back to that training method. Just push yourself for a minute, relax, push yourself, because you'll be on the ball for no more than a minute on any match, and then you get your time to relax. And I think it's the way to go.
It's great to hear. It's great to hear. I wouldn't have been aware. I would have thought, obviously, very well organized, but even to that level, I would have been surprised, because I suppose it can be very consistent. It's like you get years where it's good, and then other years it dips again, and you just wonder why it can't be maintained at times.
Yeah. Different trainers have their different ways, but I have to say, like it was intense, and like there would be people getting sick of training, big time. You wouldn't be there for a laugh, like.
God, fair play to you, 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Bad enough 7 o'clock, but facing into ice.
Oh yeah, and
as well.
And no one would be missing.
No, I'd say that. Yeah.
No, everyone was hungry for it.
Well, you were a very determined group. I suppose '96 was, had a big impact on you as a group, I'm sure.
It did as well. And one thing that stands out in that team, we all socialised together as well, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. It's hard in the current climate, because you don't get enough of that really anymore.
That's it. It's all about
Everybody goes their own way after games now, and there's same connection. But it's a huge ingredient in any successful team, I think.
Oh, it is definitely.
Brilliant. And how does it feel to be captain?
Oh, unreal. Sure, it's like, you'd have to nearly pinch yourself to see it happening. Like, it's crazy to lead such a fantastic bunch of players. I'd say that the selection headache for the lads that was over us was chronic, and that's how much intensity. And there was nearly no bitching about over it. Everyone just got on and worked harder, and and there as captain, you'd hope people would come to you for the problems, and some did. And when they do, everyone seemed to be mature. Everything was talked about and just get on with it. And that was a great opportunity. And, I'll never forget it. Yeah.
That sounds brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
that people would do that. Communication is so important. Did you put much
Oh,
pressure on yourself as captain?
No, I never really thought of myself as captain. Just the only thing that, if it was a final, that's the only thing you'd be a bit more nervous about everything and all that and everything going away. But like, in fairness, Mary Kieran there as vice captain, and she was captain in '96, so she was very, very good help, and she'd be able to, if I had a problem or anything, I'll go to her and we'd talk it out, and then so it worked out well. With a good team, a lot of girls. Like, I suppose I wasn't the oldest on the team, or I wasn't the youngest by a long shot, but you had the older girls you could go to talk to, and and Martin was very good to be able to talk to as well, and he level-headed, so it always worked out well, thank God.
Yeah, the unity in the squad is echoing there now, just as you're talking about it, it just it goes to show you all such a great relationship with each other.
Oh yeah, we great old crack on the pitch and off the pitch. Now there'd be fights on the pitch, don't get me wrong.
No, it's all part of it.
When you take a shot and someone was in a better position to tell you about it, like that's life.
That's course. That's healthy too. Can't be all rosy. The path success isn't rosy, so
that's very true.
And come here, what about life post football? You talked about when you retired there from a young age. Did you struggle for a while without it?
I didn't. Not really, because it was a change in my life as such. Because I was moving back and building a house and starting a family as such. Yeah, it didn't. You'd miss. I'd be keeping a good eye on what was going on, like, and going to the matches and all that if I could get to them at all. Of course, you would. There was some great years there where Diana Hoare had great teams there, and they never just got to that final thing. That you'd miss it then big time.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And I felt so sorry for them. They got so near so many times, and some great players have never got forward. Oh yeah, serious. I don't know how many times they won Leinster there. You just be gutted for them, because put so much work and effort into it, and that's like we're so lucky. Like, we have that All Ireland, like, as I said, a very hard one.
Anytime you can show a bit of silverware,
that's it.
It's great, yeah. And you would have known she would have been through you would have had a different level of appreciation for it as well when you've gone through it yourself, and the effort it takes and the commitment. How tough it is.
Oh, absolutely. As people say, doesn't matter what it is, you have one, and the work and commitment, and there's 30 of us that have that medal, and that'll always be a gel between us all.
Yeah, no matter when you meet, any walk of life, you'd be having the crack, or someone you'd be chatting about the cinema.
Exactly. I didn't go now.
That is so rare.
Oh, don't talk to me. If you heard the names of the girls that went, you'd be shocked.
It's brilliant all the same, though. I love the randomness of it.
Oh yeah.
And would you find from the football, like, obviously, the bang you took had a big impact on you as well? Would you have stayed active after football, or you kind of just park it all together, or would you have kept an active lifestyle going?
Yeah, well, I couldn't run because the leg would swell, so I couldn't run for 2 years solid. I had to wear a big bandage on it. But something that I started going to a bit of the gym, started Mothers and Others, but couldn't. I say I could do a run now, but I'd have to wait about 5 or 10 minutes before I could make another one.
Must be very tough, Dara. That must have been very difficult to deal with.
It was, yeah. But since lockdown came now, I'm back running.
Okay.
And so I'm cycling as well, but everything is granted from on the flat, so I can go on the flat, no bother. But once I meet a hill at all, the leg swells. But but I know now I have to avoid the hills and just stay on the flat, and I know what I have to do to get back. But I really enjoy it. Since lockdown, that's all I've been doing, is going for running and walks and that, and I'm really enjoying it now again. Great to be back. You
really appreciate being able to do a small bit, because you see when you go through. I can only imagine how difficult that is, not being able to do any of those things,
Oh, yeah. Seriously, people saying you're stupid to go back at your age and everything. I don't need to be hearing that.
No, but sure, look, anyone could go back. Nobody expects that to happen,
Yeah, that's the thing, like, such a freak accident to happen, and it happened anyway. But sure, I'm this side of it, and thank God everything is going well for me. And like, as I say, I'm back to square one, apart from it swelling up and everything every now and again. But that's only, I know what I have to avoid, and once I do that, I'll be fine.
And it's great to hear that. Great to hear you sound. You're so positive, and it's great that you're able to acknowledge that and see the bit that you're able to do and realize, that you're happy to do that and what to avoid as well. Because
Exactly.
uh,
Thanks.
it's exercise is it's so important to everybody. And
Oh yeah.
some people wouldn't be able to deal with it when they're not able to exercise in some shape or form.
Well, that's it. Like people have had career-ending
Mm,
injuries and all that, and it must be very tough for them. It's crazy. You go from such an active life to not being able to do it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know sport is so good for the body and the head and everything. You need to get out there and to
yeah.
just be able to be told that you can't anymore. It ain't nice, I'd say.
No, an awful blow was right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you didn't stay idle for too long after you're playing. You were telling me you got involved in the coach, and you were a selector on the 2016 winning team. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How was that experience?
Oh, great. Fantastic bunch of girls again. I suppose the junior All Ireland, it probably didn't mean it. I know some of them girls were so close to an intermediate
Mm,
back in the day with Diana. The junior was lovely for them to win, but I'm sure in their heart and soul it's the intermediate they wanted.
yeah,
Because they're capable of it, and they were so near so many times, like such great players like Jacinta Brady, Mairead Reynolds, Aoife Darcy. All these players have given so much time and effort to the county, so it was lovely for them to have an actual All Ireland.
yeah. And like it was, the game was in the balance for a while too. It could have easily been the other way. Only for
Oh,
a brilliant second half performance.
it could have. It was turned around at half time. Lord bless and save us. I didn't know what way it was going to go. Me heart.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it turned it around. Fair play to them.
Do you ever look back when you see the setups now and the training regimes? Do you ever look back, and would you like to have? Is there any particular aspect of it you'd like to have experienced in your time, as regards to training and that?
Oh yeah, the more professionalism there is now is. I don't know. I don't think I'd change it because we had such a good time. I don't think
Yeah,
like we trained hard, but we played hard too.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? We enjoyed ourselves. We trained, like as I said, you trained with Dublin on a Monday. You came down to Cullyfad on a Tuesday. You had a match with Kilmacud on a Wednesday. You had Thursday off. You came down to Cullyfad again on Friday, and you were back in Cullyfad Sunday morning.
Oh, you were in Cullyfad too. Lovely stuff.
Yes, that's where it all happened for us. Running around that pitch.
The amount of people that are in Cullyfad.
Yeah, it was a great old place for us. But
Mm.
do you know, like you were going out Friday night after training. You probably went out Saturday night. You didn't miss training, but you wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't go out hard, like, but you'd go
Yeah, I
out.
know. Yeah, you'd struggle on.
You struggle on. We had our social life as well as our football, and I think nowadays it's gone too professional.
Yeah, you had a great balance without realising it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were enjoying everything. Sure, what more could you ask for?
that's it. A really great old time.
No, no excuse for complaining. No reason to be complaining.
No, that's it. Like you're the best of both worlds.
And from a coaching perspective, then with your own kids and with underage kids you're involved with, like what's your message for them? Like from your own experience, like there's so many different coaches out there. Some coaches like a win at all cost
Yeah.
attitude. There's other coaches that are looking at, they have a more holistic approach. Yes, winning is important, but obviously the journey and the progress of children is important too. What's your
Yeah.
view?
Well, mine, especially when I live now in a small parish
Mm.
of Kenagh, and the numbers, you could have 10 one year and you could have 30 for the next year. It's important that every kid gets a game. You have to keep them all interested. Because if you look back, even at say Sean, pictures of yourself when you were young, the people who were in the photo with you, how many of them are playing football now?
No, I know. It's always an eye opener.
It's always now. Every kid has to be treated the same, no matter what their capability is.
Yeah.
I think, as they get older, I suppose it's about you will get knocked back. It's just how a child takes it, or what way a trainer deals with it, and all that. If kid not not getting playing and disappointed with it, do they train harder or do they give up?
Yeah.
So it's important that a trainer talks to a child that's not going to get a game and explains all that to them.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's a bigger picture that, for a child, it can be a defining moment. But for when you shed light on that perspective, no, it's not. It's one chance of 100 or more. You're going to have so many more chances.
Yes. And I've actually a cousin of mine, and her husband absolutely hates the GAA for something that happened to him when he was a kid, and he'll never ever forget it. And that always stood out in my mind when I'm talking to him. Like he was left out of a match, and he never went back. So that's why I always bring that with me, to make sure every child is treated equally, no matter who they are or their capability on the pitch.
Yeah, because we all develop and change from a young age as well. Like, there's no way you stay just because, like, I know it myself. Back when I was under 10, I couldn't kick a ball out of my way, and I still remember that.
Unreal.
You know, like, and that's the truth. I couldn't kick it out of my way, and you know, if people didn't, suppose, persist with me, or I was just treated like so, you wouldn't be playing. You know, you wouldn't.
Oh, that's it. And I always tell them that too, that you know, not one player has ever won in All Ireland on their own. It always takes 30. You know, they have to remember that no one individual will never get you there. It takes a whole team.
Yeah, exactly. And looking at areas, like getting children to realise from a young age, looking at areas like that, things are doing well, things that can improve on, you know, because when you view it like that, okay, well, we need to work on this with this child. That's, you know, that's a hell of a lot better than saying he can't do that, good luck to him.
Correct.
Him or her, you know. And that's
that
was the old way.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we break it down now. Sort of, I suppose every club is doing the same, but go to training, you just look at them and we put them into different groups, and we practice solo. But we don't bring the kids aside. We just move them all onto every groups. Yeah. And if you have a stronger group, you can do different faster drills with them. You know, and the younger ones under sixes, that we do it nice and slow and get their touches right and all that. But just patience.
Yeah, exactly. It is patience.
Just make sure they're enjoying it, and that's at that age. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's a fantastic approach there you talked about. You know, that is the way forward, and that's how you deal with it.
That's how, you have to just treat them all equally,
That's the template for it. I think we're on the spots now, Dara, on the spot questions. Your first one, Dairy Milk or Galaxy?
Dairy Milk.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice. Second one, Longford Ladies 97 versus Ladies 2016. Who wins?
No, 97, hands down.
I'd be surprised now. It wasn't even weighed up or analysed. No. You're that convinced.
Yeah.
I know, fair play for the honesty. Excellent, Dara. Come here, thanks a million. Brilliant chat. Really enjoyed it, and you know, I'm glad you shared. I'm appreciative that you shared so much there. Even, you know, I honestly wasn't aware of the bang you received, and I'm just delighted to hear you're in a good place now as regards, you know, being able to do the small things, and you know, your outlook is so positive, and even your approach there with the coach and everything. It's just really refreshing to hear, and I hope a lot of people get the message from it, because it's so important.
And that's great. Thanks a million, Sean. You're doing great work yourself for the underage. We do meet on the side of the pitch every now and again.
I do, yeah. I could do an experience and a bit more success, but look, it'll come. It'll come.
Stick with it.
It's all, yeah, exactly. It's all part of the journey. And sure, look, it's completely new for me as well. Like, you know,
it is. That's great. Kids make it worthwhile, don't they?
Yeah. I find it's difficult sometimes when you're playing yourself. I find the coaching difficult, you know, because sometimes you're so immersed in playing that it's nice to get away from it. You know what I mean? Whereas when you're not playing as much, then I feel you can give the coach a lot more time, of your focus, and time. But look, you keep up the great work, Dara. I'm sure like there's bright days ahead, definitely, for Kenagh, because there's some fantastic people involved, and like your commitment to it is remarkable. I'm not even going to ask you how often you're at home, because you're probably never at home.
Oh, lockdown has changed that for a while.
Yeah, I know. I can find us all for a while. We'd be mad to get out into a green field again.
Exactly.
Dara, God bless, and thanks so much for coming on. Brilliant chat. Thank you.
Okay, best of luck. Thanks very much. Bye. Bye-bye.